Hey. Today we are going to use something called a spreadsheet. Some of you guys have worked with those before, and some of you haven't. Um, you may have noticed that you've had this blue paper on your tables for you to look at. You're going to use that as a tool, so you'll need to make sure you secure one of these. Do not write on this. This is not for you to write on. It's just a reference material. Okay? So, obviously, if you're looking at this video right now, you know to have gone to Google Classroom and open up this assignment. So I'm going to do that now, except it's going to look a little bit different on your end because there's two assignments here. One of them says Toll House Cookie Count Part 1, and the other one says Part 2. So Part 1 should be where you found this video. It's not here now. That's because I'm making it right now. But by the time you look at this, it'll be there, which you will have already found it. Anyhow, I want you to open up this Toll House Cookie Count student document. And this is here as a spreadsheet. You'll notice that this too looks very similar. As a matter of fact, when I created this spreadsheet, I modeled it after this directly. A spreadsheet is a piece of work that does calculations and keeps things very orderly. So we are going to use a spreadsheet to calculate the nutrients in a chocolate chip cookie. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, this is very basic use of a spreadsheet because I've done most of the work here for you. But I do want you to get a little bit familiar with it because it's a very handy thing to use. Okay, first off, I want you to fill in this spreadsheet. These squares here all need to be filled in by the time we're done. And so that's what we're going to work at. Okay, so you'll notice in the left here, we have a column with ingredients in it. Then the amount required for the Toll House cookie recipe, units, calories for each ingredient, fat, sodium, and carbohydrates. Okay, and we're going to calculate all this to find out how many. Our end goal here is to find out how many calories in a single cookie and how much fat in a single cookie. You could use this spreadsheet for any food dish as long as you know the amount of calories, fat, sodium, and carbohydrates. You need to know those for each item. Once you know that, you can plug it into the spreadsheet and it'll calculate it for you. On this blue paper right here, that's where we refer to find out, how many calories, fat, sodium, and carbohydrate are in each item. So this we're going to depend on heavily. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is notice that the recipe, if you look on the back of the blue sheet, it says flour takes 2 1/4 cups. Now, we always use fractions in our class, but the spreadsheet does not allow for fractions. So some of you will be grateful to know that it's all decimals. So I've converted 2 1/4 cups of flour to 2.25 cups of flour. White sugar 2, 3/4 of a cup is what the recipe requires, but I've converted that to 0.75 cups. And water is a half a teaspoon. I've converted that to 0.5 teaspoons. Some of this should be ringing a bell for you guys when you converted fractions to decimals. If it's not, hopefully it's a refresher. Okay. So that being said, what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you a little pattern, and we're going to do it over and over again. But first, I want to, you're going to fill in all these squares. I think I mentioned that. I want to make the font size so you can't see it. Alrighty. So we want to know, according to the blue sheet, 1 cup of flour is 400 calories. So what we're going to do, and you may have to go through this a couple of times, is we're going to type in this formula. This cell right here times, I'm sorry, back up. Always start with an equal sign if we're going to do any calculating. So start with an equal sign equals this cell. I've already messed things up. All right. So here is where we're going to do our math. So I'm going to type in equals, come on, equals, oh, it's there. I just can't see it. It's too small. Hold on. I'm trying to demonstrate this to you without it doing the work for you. Okay. So I'm going to type in equals. Oh, it's gone. Oh boy. Here we go. Somehow all right. Let's go back to where we were, 2.25 cups. Okay. Here, we're going to type in the formula. Equals tells it we're doing math. This cell, and then the asterisk is the times. When we look at our blue sheet, 400. Type in 400 there. Okay. We do not want autofill. For today's purposes, do not do that. So there's an answer there. It's very small. I don't want you to see it because then you won't do the work. But there's a very small answer there. Well, let's make it bigger. Alrighty. So that's telling us that the spreadsheet is calculating 2 1/4 cups of flour is going to equal 900 calories because there's 400 calories per cup. Okay. So let me go back down to size 1. Alrighty. Then we use that same procedure for the next item. Start off with the equal sign. This cell, asterisk, which means times. We look on this thing, 0. Well, hopefully you guys know anything times 0 is what? 0, right? So if I were you, I would just go in and start putting in zeros for wherever you need a 0. So 1 teaspoon of salt is a 0. Go down to water. Water has 0 calories. So put a 0 there. Okay. Go to the next column. Baking soda has 0 calories. There's no need to punch in a formula because hopefully you know 0 times anything is 0. Salt has 0 fat. Did I get it? Okay. Skipping down, white sugar. I know you guys don't believe this, but there's no fat in sugar. There's no fat in brown sugar. There's no fat in vanilla. There's no fat in water. And eggs has some fat. Now we go to the next column, sodium, up at the top. There is 0 sodium in flour, so there's no need to figure out to calculate a number. Hit 0 there. Go down to vanilla. Again, there is 0 fat in vanilla because it's such a small amount. And there's 0, oh, I'm sorry, we're on sodium. Did I do that wrong? So sodium has 0 milligrams of sodium in water, and skip down to vanilla is still 0, and water has no sodium in it too. And then we go to the last column. Now when you do this, your zeros are going to be a lot bigger because you have a larger font, but I didn't want you to see my answers. So let's go to salt, and there are 0 carbohydrates in salt, so put a 0 there. And there is 0 carbohydrates in margarine. And go down to vanilla, 0 carbs in vanilla, 0 carbs in water. So that takes almost half your work away from you right there. Okay. So now that you've done that, it's going to make this next part a little bit easier. Okay, so flour we did, baking soda's is 0, salt's is 0. We're looking for calories. Margarine. Okay, we know there's 1,600 calories in 1 cup of margarine. How many cups do we have? 1,600. Well, you could say equal sign this cell times 1,600, or since it's times 1, you could just put it in off the top of your head because hopefully you know 1 times any number. White sugar, according to our blue paper, has 770 calories per cup. So start off with equal sign this cell asterisk 770. Okay. Same thing with brown sugar. Equal sign this cell times or asterisk 820. Okay. Vanilla equals this number times 10. Water, we already did at 0. And eggs equals this number times 75 on our blue sheet. And chocolate chips is equals this cell times 143. Okay, sorry about that pause. I just had to check my work and make sure there were no mistakes. Now you're going to do the same process for fat, for sodium, for carbohydrates. For fat equals this number times how much fat is in flour? 1 gram. And so forth and so on until this whole section here is filled up. Should have a number in each one of those cells. You're most of the way done. Now we are going to see this bottom row here where it says total. We are going to total up all the calories for all the ingredients right here. So, nice thing about this program for Spreadsheet is if I put in an equal sign here, it seems to know I want a total for everything above it. So I just click on this formula it gives me. Same thing here. Equals. It knows. Click on that. Equals. Click on that. And for carbohydrates, equals. Click on that, excuse me. So now we have our spreadsheet almost completely filled out. All we have to do is fill in these last 4 answers. Okay. All right. Well, on the blue sheet, on one side or the other, it says this recipe makes 100 cookies. So when we have calories here, all we have to do is divide by 100. So right here, and I'm going to make my font small again so you don't see my answers. Okay, you will be turning in the spreadsheet. So if you're figured out a way just to copy off of someone else, you're going to have to show me your work. So if you just go in and punch in numbers, when I pull it up, I want to see formulas in there. So don't think that you can just punch in numbers after looking at someone else's spreadsheet. All right. Now we want to know total calories, which is in this box, but we want to know for one cookie so that the recipe makes 100 cookies. So we're going to divide it by 100. So we start off with an equal sign and this cell right here. Now, divided by is that line right there. And that's because division and fractions are the same thing. So we take that number and divide by 100. And there's our answer. Same thing with fat. Go up here, here, okay, equals this cell right here, the total row under fat, divided by 100, boom, sodium, equals this cell right here, divided by 100, carbohydrates, equals, oops, where'd it go? Equals, let's try this again, equals this number right here, divided by 100. And the spreadsheet is done. Now you have to submit your answers. And the way to do that is to open up your next assignment, which is Toll House Cookie Count Part 2. Open up the Google form, and it says, Cell 1, calories from 2¼ cups of flour. Okay, so on the back of the blue sheet, okay, I have in the lower corner, in the left-hand corner, I wrote really small the cell numbers, okay? But you don't need that necessarily. Whatever you need to help you keep it straight. So your calories of flour is in cell 1. So on our, okay, on your Google Forms for Toll House Cookie Toll House Cookie Count, it says cell 1, calories from 2¼ cups of flour. And that's where you put in whatever number was here. And that number was 900. So go to this, type in type in 900 and go on to the next one. And when you're done, the computer will correct it. As always, this video can be slowed down or backed up, so if you need to watch a section over again, feel free to do that. But hopefully, by me providing you with this video, it helped you to get a clearer understanding of what a spreadsheet is and how to use it to calculate something as simple as calories, sodium, and carbohydrates of a chocolate chip cookie. All right, then. Thank you very much.